Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. This will be the final edition of NoDQ&A video until Payback this Sunday, live on the WWE Network, by the way, and it's just $9.99 unless you're a new subscriber, and then it's free. NoDQ.com has got you covered with the latest news, rumors, and of course, live results coverage. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all that. And stay tuned to the YouTube channel. I got more videos coming up soon with myself and Jeff Meacham. And speaking of Jeff, he is planning to bring back Talk Wrestling full-time to NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel. My plan right now is to beef up the channel with more content. So in addition to my videos, you'll see videos from Noah, which I know you all love, and videos from Jeff. And there's a few other people I'm talking to as well about having them bring their videos to the YouTube channel. Stay tuned for all that. With that being said, I got your questions here from spring.me/AaronRift. Let's get started with the first one today from Carbold Tunnel. Hey Aaron, what is your take on Daniel Bryan's speech from Raw? Is this his way of saying he's taking another leave for a couple of months? At this point, I think whatever is going on with Daniel Bryan is significant. The fact that he relinquished the title and he wrote on Instagram that he is doing his best and he's doing physical therapy, to me, whatever it is, and WWE hasn't really made it clear what's going on with him exactly, it's not looking good. And I really felt on Raw that Bryan is at a crossroads in his life. I don't know if retirement is in the future for him, the near future for him. I mean, eventually everyone's going to retire, but with Bryan, it seems like this might be something that he might not be able to come back from. And there might not be any amount of physical therapy that can get him back to the level that he was once at. You could just see it with him. I mean, it was like Shawn Michaels losing his smile, but maybe even worse. I mean, with Shawn Michaels losing his smile, that was a lot of Shawn Michaels just being Shawn Michaels and being overly emotional. And, a month later, he was back to showing up on television all dancing around and stuff. But with Bryan, this is a guy that has worked so hard over the past decade to get to the spot he's in WWE, and then he has one injury after another. First injury, he has to relinquish the WWE title, and now he has to forfeit the IC title. To me, it's something very serious, and I hope whatever it is, he's able to bounce back and make a full-time return, but it's a big question mark right now. We've seen what happened with Edge, and that's the thing. A lot of people were comparing Bryan's speech to Edge's speech when he announced his retirement. I don't know if that's what's going to happen or not. It's really uncertain. Everything's up in the air right now with Daniel Bryan. I'm just hopeful he is able to make a full recovery and come back and have another solid run in WWE. But nothing is a guarantee at this point. And I got this one from the heel player on the topic of Daniel Bryan. What do you think Daniel Bryan's last match should be if it came down to it? I think it should be him versus CM Punk once Punk and WWE are on good terms, and that he and Bryan can main event WrestleMania. Hey, it worked for Cena and Rock, so why not, right? Well, if we're going to be waiting for CM Punk and WWE to be on good terms again, that could be decades. So I don't think that's going to happen. CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan, the chances of that match happening again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, highly unlikely in all likelihood. I really don't think we're going to ever see that match again. And it's not like Rock and John Cena. It's a different dynamic because Cena and Rock, it's about the personalities. So those guys could be 60 years old and it would be okay for them to wrestle because it's the two larger-than-life characters. With Bryan and Punk, it's about the quality of the wrestling match. That's what people want to see from those guys. So, Bryan versus Punk 20 years from now, not a good idea, and I don't think Bryan's going to have that longevity. Especially with his condition right now. If he's able to wrestle another 2 or 3 years, he's going to be lucky, I think, at this point. So if Daniel Bryan is able to have one final match, who that person would be, that opponent, It's really hard to say. I think I'd like to see Daniel Bryan versus Samoa Joe. I mean, that's a personal dream match for me. I'd love to see Daniel Bryan versus any number of guys in WWE. Dolph Ziggler would be a great choice. You know, they had talked about doing the WrestleMania match with those two one-on-one. You know, that would be a nice send-off for Daniel Bryan. Just about anybody that could carry Bryan if need be, if Bryan's in really bad condition. But, you know, I don't know if he's going to get in there even for one more match if there's risk of serious further injury or perhaps being paralyzed. So I don't even know what's going to happen. But if Bryan can come back and do one more match, you know, just for argument's sake, I'd like to see him against Dolph Ziggler or any number of the NXT guys, Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens. Any of those guys I think would be a suitable last match for Daniel Bryan. All right, this next question comes from Mr. Wrestling 85. Hey Aaron, I do recall seeing Bully Ray at the Royal Rumble and then he just vanished. Do you see him doing anything else, particularly full-time in the WWE? Personally, I would love to see him as a heel with Paul Heyman at the helm, taking on the top faces. And I got more from him. Do you think WWE is missing out on some high-profile feuds with Bully Ray? I don't think he'll ever be WWE champion, but I do see him main eventing some pay-per-views on just his name alone. What do you think? Please answer in video. All right, when it comes to Bully Ray and WWE, here's the situation. Bully Ray made a name for himself as a single star in TNA. As far as WWE is concerned, TNA does not exist. It's not on the radar of professional wrestling history. And until WWE buys out TNA and acquires the tape library, if that ever happens, WWE is not going to acknowledge TNA. So as far as WWE is concerned, there is no Bully Ray. There is no singles run. WWE, if they bring him back, he's going to be Bubba Ray Dudley, one half of the Dudley Boys. So if WWE was ever going to do anything with him on a regular basis, it would be Bully Ray as Bubba Ray Dudley with Devon as the Dudley Boys. And the fact that WWE hasn't done anything yet with them leads me to believe they're not all interested in a Dudley Boys reunion at this point. Now, I can definitely see the Dudleys going into the Hall of Fame, and when that time comes, I think it would be a good idea, and I think WWE would perhaps consider doing it, a series of matches, you know, a reunion tour, call whatever you want, where the Dudley Boys have one last run, similar to the New Age Outlaws a couple years ago, maybe even winning the tag team titles one more time. I could definitely see that playing out, but Bully Ray as a single star, and as you mentioned, Paul Heyman, none of that's going to happen. You know, if it was going to happen, WWE would have done it, but they're just not going to invest in him as a single star, and they're not going to acknowledge anything that he's done outside of WWE. So it's probably not going to happen. If he does anything with WWE, I think it'll be him and Devon reunited as the Dudley Boys. But that's a matter of if WWE is interested in doing that storyline. And at this point, there's no indication that they want to bring back the Dudley Boys in any capacity. Moving on here, got this question from Big Teddy 504. After Raw last night, what are the chances we'll see Kane versus Seth Rollins for the WWE title, or Seth Rollins versus Triple H at SummerSlam? Keep up the good work. Well, I think it's inevitable. I mean, hopefully with all this build-up, we're going to see Seth Rollins versus Kane for the WWE title. Not at SummerSlam. We're not going to see that match at SummerSlam. Most likely, if that match happens, it'll be at Elimination Chamber. I mean, that's what makes sense to me. There'll be some sort of shenanigans at Payback, and that'll lead to Kane and Seth Rollins. Triple H will make the match so those two can finally settle their differences. Seth Rollins versus Triple H at SummerSlam, not going to happen. The WWE title match is most likely going to involve Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. That is what's probably going to be the main event. Seth Rollins versus Triple H making a babyface turn. I'm definitely open to the idea, but you know, with SummerSlam, that's going to be Brock Lesnar's next big show. So if Seth Rollins versus Triple H happens, you know, they could do a storyline where it happens at Money in the Bank or Battleground, and then Triple H loses, and he brings back Brock Lesnar to take out Seth Rollins. That is definitely something that could happen. So yeah, both of those matches I definitely see happening at some point, but probably not at SummerSlam. All right, this next one comes from Wrestling Do 95. Yo, Aaron, what do you think of WWE bringing back Elimination Chamber as a network special, just as they did for King of the Ring, and will this be overkill for network event specials? Well, I totally understand WWE's reasoning for doing it because they're having the pay-per-view take place on May 31st, so it's the very last day of the free month, and they're hopeful that people will not cancel that are subscribing for the first time. So it's a little tactic by WWE. To me, it's a smart business decision, and it's good for my business, too. It drives more traffic to NoDQ.com, so I'm all for it. They can do 30 network specials in a year for all I care. Yeah, it is overkill for fans. You don't want to do too many shows in a short period of time, and there's already enough WWE programming as it is. So I don't know if I would make a habit of doing these monthly network specials and having 24 so-called pay-per-view events in a year. I think that would be ridiculous. But they've done it before where they've had 13, 14 pay-per-views in 1 year. As long as they don't add any more beyond this, I wouldn't have a major problem with it from a fan viewpoint. I would have preferred Elimination Chamber brought back as just a match on another WWE pay-per-view with a storyline purpose behind it. But, they're going to do what they're going to do to try and keep the network subscriptions and keep the paying customers. So we'll see what happens. Just hopefully they don't go overkill, as you mentioned. But just doing Elimination Chamber as it is for now, I'm totally fine with it. Got this one here from CPW1978. What are your thoughts on the Global Force Wrestling roster announcements so far? So far, I think it's fine. No real issues. I think it's a good idea to bring in talent from various places. Have a variety. Have people from Japan. Have people from Mexico. Have people from the United States. Have some legends. Give something for everybody. Have a little bit of something for everybody. Something to make everyone happy. I think it's a good thing to do it that way. And, they got some talented guys, the Young Bucks and Chris Masters, perfectly fine with the GFW roster so far. And hopefully for them, they can bring in one or two big significant names. I think that will help their chances of securing a television deal. And ultimately, that should be the goal. That's what they're going to need in order to survive in the long run. They're going to need a television deal. They definitely need to just focus on getting off the ground right now. But, hopefully they'll be able to add a few big names. But for now, what they got, I think, is very solid and should be decent shows. And hopefully, GFW will continue to grow because we can use all the wrestling promotions we can right now. And the more competition for WWE, the better. All right, one more question here from Dave451985. Why in the almighty F would WWE put El Torito with the Lucha Dragons? There is no benefit I can see coming from this. Well, I totally agree with you. To me, it's ridiculous to add El Torito to the Lucha Dragons. They're doing just fine without El Torito. And El Torito, in my opinion, is a opening match comedy act. And by putting El Torito with the Lucha Dragons, it just drags down the Dragons. It makes the Dragons a opening match comedy tag team. And I think that they can do better than that. They can be top contenders for the tag team titles. Why do this? Not a fan of it. But I guess WWE sees something in El Torito and they are entertained with the character and Vince is a fan or whatever. So they're going to keep him around. Not a big fan of it, but they're going to do what they're going to do. And I'm actually going to do one more question real quick here from Baller SH56354. Hey Aaron, what in the world was the point of Sandow leaving The Miz as his stunt double only to do a Macho Man gimmick? It would only make sense for him to go back to being the intellectual savior of the unwashed masses. Well, in my opinion, it would be a mistake to go back to that old gimmick. In my opinion, Sandow should have just been Damian Sandow. Normal guy, no goofy gimmick at all. Just let him be himself. I think that would have been the best way to go, but you know, the idea is he's trying to entertain everybody by doing these wacky characters. But once again, like El Torito, it makes him an opening match character. When he does the Macho Man gimmick, it's a pre-show gimmick. So, you know, I guess it's better than him having nothing to do in WWE. But I think if they had just let him be himself and do his own thing, he could be credible in WWE. He could be a top-tier superstar. But it is what it is. They're giving him the Macho Man gimmick, and he's going to be stuck in the pre-show matches. But like I said, better than nothing, right? So that'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Subscribe at youtube.com/NoDQCAW, and I will see you guys next time for more.